Hi, welcome to Planning with a Plan. Today I'm going to discuss Monstera. Now, I'm going to probably butcher these names for these plants, but Monstera was very popular due to the fact that they were just known to be high survival plants. I would totally suggest that here in the Midwest area, up here in the upper Midwest, because my winters are very long and it's a very low amount of light. It's very difficult to get light inside your home. So these actually are able to survive the winters here with a little help. And when I say with a little help, with low light, you want to buy some grow lights. Now I have used for two of my plants, and I'll show them here, are the Monstera, the Adansonii, and I have the Monstera, Deliciosa. Now, this particular plant is a little bit more picky on its light. It does prefer sunlight. It will survive, where if it's not surviving, you will see that the leaves, I can't show you on this particular plant, I have another one, you will see that the leaves are going to be yellow. See, it kind of looks yellow like right now with the sunlight, so it'll turn yellow on you if it does not have a significant amount of light. So with this blue light that I was able to pick up at my local Home Depot, the plant was not turning yellow, but it was getting very like it was getting very thin, wasn't very sturdy. So that's just something you might want to consider when you get one of these plants, is you want to put it in a somewhat you want to consistently put it back and forth in a lit area, because I know when you purchase it they write on the form that it can handle medium light, but in the wintertime with not enough light, that's not enough for these particular plants. They need to have like that light. They really do need the light, at least like switching it back and forth between light, a lit area, a very high light area, to a medium light area. And if you have a low light area you put that plant in, you don't want to put it in there for that long, because it's going to affect it and you won't get this beautiful leaf foliage coming up out of the plant that is just so gorgeous. It's one of the most favorite parts of being a plant parent. When you see this, especially being that these are cuttings off of my original plant, and I was able to do a cutting off of that plant and use this beautiful, I don't know if you can see it, try to put it close, this little nose right here. Let's see if I can feel it. In my mind I see it. Yeah, here you go. It's a little bit of a node right here. There it goes. I'm sorry, my bad. It's right here. So it's a little bit of an area node coming out of here. A good root gonna come out. And I clipped the plant maybe about here in this area and down below it, and I was able to get the aerial roots that was coming out of there to root into a regular root and put into these pots. And now I have another beautiful Monstera Deliciosa that I love, and just waiting to see it grow up this beautiful stake. I actually put this plant in a stake just because it looks more together, and then the leaves, the plant itself grows so much more better when it's going upward, when it's attached to something that's going up, which makes sense because technically this is a viney plant and it's generally growing up a root of a big tree, and it's attaching itself to the tree. That's why it has these little aerial root right there, because that's how it attaches itself to the tree. I understand that there has been concerns because eventually when it gets a certain height and growth pattern, once it's gotten a certain growth amount on there, that plant is going to have these aerial roots coming out. It's not going to harm the plant to leave it as is. You can either take and put them back in the pot, you can keep them out, it's up to you. It's It's no big deal. It's just there so it can attach to something and grow up it, because that's what it prefers to do, is to stay upwards, not really lay down. So that's the beauty of this one. That's what I have it here for. So to go over this particular plant, as far as sometimes might get those little tabs in the pots. My experience here with our colder weather primarily, I don't want to keep this soil moist. If I keep it moist, then I get the yellow leaves. I want to let it get really nice and watered down, where I have water dripping out from the bottom, and then I like to let it dry out. And for me, it can be about 1.5 to 2 weeks before I water it. It does have foliage growing throughout the winter, where some plants don't. You don't want to give them plant food, but this plant, it does have foliage growing. So being that it is lacking the sun, and it's lacking the warm weather that it prefers, you do want to give it some food to give it nutrients, so you don't have like these beautiful limpy looking stems have or very beautiful limpy looking leaves, because you don't want that. And then also, yeah, I just let it dry out. I don't really maintain the moisture, because I have seen it get yellow leaves on there due to too much water within the soil. Okay. And then for the Adansonii, this particular plant, I find it similar, but it's not. It's so beautiful though. So here, unlike the other leaves, you can see the holes. Now, the thing is with this particular plant, I'm not sure if I went over it, but the holes will come out eventually through time of getting its sufficient amount of sun. It will grow within time, because I have seen that the holes will actually start forming within the leaves. It's not dying. It's just starting to grow into its ideal appearance. Let's see here. So with this one, you can see maybe some of these leaves are getting a little yellow. It could be from too much water, and then it could be for a lack of sun. I have done this with the blue light, and I have been okay with this plant. I do feel that this one, just like the other one, began to get its stems very limpy. So I honestly put more effort to putting it with the other light that had the wide spectrum on there, and then I can't find it now. And then that particular light, the plant looks like the stems are actually very sturdy, not as limpy, because last time I had to do cuttings because they look too limpy, and then I'm putting them back inside the pot. The reason why I put them back in the pot is because, unlike my other plant, pothos, this one does not tend to grow leaves from within the soil. This one seems to just extend itself through the stems primarily. And as far as sunlight, it does prefer, but it can do that spectrum. Let's see here. Some more pictures. A little bit more, because these are new growths, and they have struggled. Now, as far as tips goes, I know I have to concern myself with the fact that my water has too much total dissolved solvents in there. So I'd have to say these tips are just because I have this particular plant in the living room where I don't have humidity. And I do notice that with Monstera, Mr. loves high humidity. High humidity, you have higher growth in your leaf foliage. You have stronger leaves, you have stronger stems. So high humidity, high sunlight, these plants actually do like that. I know they say that you don't want them in direct sunlight. I've let them get into direct sunlight temporary, and they're fine. Now you don't want, as we had last summer, where it was like over the top sun or over the top heat. They don't, no, these plants do not do well in that type of heat. They like high humidity, but they do tend to like to be shaded from that direct sun So you want to consider that when you are taking care of these plants. Let's see here also. When it comes to plant food with this particular plant, I would give it plant food. It just consistently is growing. Consistently growing. So you do want to give it plant food once every 2 weeks. Now, for my plant food that I give these particular plants, it's primarily an organic plant food that's granule that's being dissolved inside the water before it's placed in here. If I can, I do like to give it a little bit of like rainwater or melted snow water, just because I think they need that treat, and that's most likely their habitat because they're coming from, you know, southern and, let's see, Central America. I think that those are more rainforest areas, so therefore they are going to prefer actual rainwater compared to my gross over contaminated tend to be water here in my location. So I find that, let's see here, with these particular plants, they're fine with high humidity. This one also, you can put this one in the dark area for a maybe a week. Not like, I don't ever put them in dark. I put them in low light areas for maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks the most. You don't want to do that. They do prefer to have light. They do prefer they do prefer light. They don't need light like all day, but they do prefer to get at least, I think, 3 to 4 hours of light not directly hit to them. They do prefer that. They do enjoy that. So that is my advice. It is a beautiful viney plant. I think what people say about them as far as being fighters is so true, because there's times you might forget to water these plants, and that's when I say, like, you can definitely get away with only giving it water once every 2 weeks, because it's still surviving compared to other plants. Like I might have my calathea, and the calathea is just like, look girl, 2 days, you're done. I'm done with you. I can see you're done with me. I'm going to bye-bye. So that's what I have on my Monstera, and talk to you later.